Welcome, everybody, to a fabulous and fun-filled Friday on Ignite Humanity Live. Super happy to have you here. I'm Lady JB, your host, and we're talking about ways to ignite humanity. And we're doing it through Ignite moments, those powerful moments in our lives that start to change us and transform us and move us towards our purpose and our mission. And we love to talk to guests who are igniting humanity in different and unique ways. We want to spark some interest in you on ways that you can ignite humanity in your life so that you can help others. Folks, we really have to be thinking about humanity and all the things that are unfolding. How do we make a better future, a better community, better connections, better society for all of us? Well, how we do that is by coming together, connecting, sharing, having empathy and compassion for one another, and really understanding the journey. Every single one of us has a journey. We go along a process. We have things that unfold in our lives, and those things shape and mold us and turn us into the people that we are, making us passionate and interested in different things. And that's what we love to talk about. Inspire you to ignite humanity one person at a time. All right, well, let's meet our guest for today. Dennis Jatos is the founder of Supercharge and podcast host of Thirstcast. His vision is to connect entrepreneurs and be the bridge for success, freedom, and inspiration. He aims to create a world with more opportunities and connections, regardless of location or age. Dennis is igniting humanity by helping entrepreneurs and podcasters to level up in any spectrum of their lives. Welcome him to the show. So happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Blessings. Thanks for being here. Where are you coming to us from? We love guests from all over the globe.
Yeah, so I currently live in the UK, but I'm originally from Greece.
Oh, lovely. Awesome. So over on the other side of the pond, we love it. Love to hear about what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about this idea of supercharging.
Yeah, so basically our mission in Supercharge is to not just bring everybody together, but also connect with everybody and for everybody to be able to see the right opportunities and utilize those opportunities for their own benefits. Whether that is just from a small conversation, whether that is to create their own networks, or either to start something of their own and start experimenting and start embracing and supercharge themselves.
Well, it's no coincidence that you're talking to us on a Friday. Friday's theme is always connections. So I love this idea of connecting through communication. And I truly believe, like, just like our TV show we're doing now and all the podcasts and summits and online conversations that are going on, there's this huge surge for people to be able to connect around the globe. Talk a little bit about how important it is to have your own unique narrative. I think everybody needs that to really make an impact.
I think everybody should have their own ideas and be able to express their own ideas, because if we live under the wrong agenda, or even worse, under somebody else's agenda, then we know really ourselves. And I think everybody should be able to express what they really want to, what they really think of. And I think it's also very important to do that, because that would also allow you to open many doors, whether that is in your professional life or even in your personal life.
Is there some ways that people can sort of begin to formulate what is their message?
To formulate a message, from a personal experience, it all comes down to what do you do yourself, and meaning how often you're putting yourself out there to learn something new or to experience something new, and then to give yourself some feedback. Because the more experiences that we have on day-to-day basis, the more things that we can talk to someone else about what we went through. And so you'd be surprised how many people can be relate to some of these experiences that you have faced. So the more that you open up about personal experience, the more people can connect with you.
Yeah, I so agree. I always tell people, if you're going to be a speaker, a teacher, a trainer, if you're going to coach, mentor, have a podcast, have a TV show, you want to talk about something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you live, breathe, eat, and sleep, because you're going to be asked and challenged to be able to unpack that conversation in so many ways. And so you want to really make it real for you. You want to really be a part of it and speak to it in truth. How are you inspiring people to get out and share their message and make it maybe even local or international or global?
I think again, as I said, it all comes down to what you currently facing. What is your goal, and what how can you help others? And this is all what I always tell people, or rather ask people, what makes you special, and why would somebody waste their time, watch you, or listen to you, and how they can benefit from that conversation, from that interaction with you. And to my experience, the best thing that somebody can do is to be genuine, be authentic, and really be there, but just because you want to help others.
I think the key in that is to be genuine and authentic. Nobody wants to watch somebody not being who they really are. I have been accused, though. People have said to me, I've watched you and you're so bubbly and you're so upbeat and you act a certain way. I thought that was all artificial until I really met you, and you're the same way in person. You want to be your true self because that's what people appreciate. They appreciate your perspective and your point of view. And when it's authentic and genuine, I love when people really show who they are, and I always say it's way less work to just be yourself than to pretend to be somebody you're not, and I think your viewers really, really notice that. Have you found that people are now more inclined to be speaking out, to be creating a message, to be wanting to have a platform to speak on?
Yeah, and it can be intimidating, but quite a few people, especially if that's something that you don't do on daily basis. And I can understand why. When I first started my show, I was really shy, believe me or not, and I couldn't stand the fact that I was in front of the camera. But I learned and I taught myself how to be that person. Not that I changed my personality or changed who I am as a person, but I guess you have to get used to it. And the best advice I give to somebody who comes on my show even is to just be in the moment, just focus on me. If anything else is bothering you, or even have a cup of tea, just to keep you going, and just completely discard that there's cameras or there's lighting in the room, and then just focus on the conversation.
And tell us a little bit, what is the precedent of your podcast? What's the message you want your listeners to get?
Yeah, absolutely. So primarily, we speaking towards to other entrepreneurs, whether there's somebody who is just thinking starting their entrepreneurship journey, or maybe that's somebody who has an experience running successful businesses. I often talk to many successful people, and I always learn from them. I'm not successful to any means as they are, and I think that it's important to stay a student no matter how successful you are, because there's always room for improvement, no matter how much money or whatever you deem success is. Because I think the best thing that you can do to you and to your business and to everything else is just keep learning more and more, and adapting new environments to what you're currently doing.
I so agree with you. I do this show Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. I absolutely love it. I learn so much from my guests. Every single person I talk to, I gain something from. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be constantly in growth. And at the same time, why do we do it? Well, we love to showcase others. We want to create a platform for others to be able to share what they do. A little more about your podcast. So, is there anything that you would say is sort of the common main theme that you have learned? What, in talking with all these people, what are some of the blessings and lessons that have come out of that?
Yeah, I think personal development is number one. What do I mean? Every single person has gone through a phase of either loneliness, of either hardship, of either something they have put themselves towards that they weren't comfortable with. And because I've been doing this firsthand myself, I can understand how this feels like. But also is the fact, how are you able to express that story to other people that will then relate to a bigger message. And I think storytelling is the number one thing everybody should be really doubling down to really master, because this is the number one skill, in my opinion, that can separate you from other million of people that are doing exactly the same thing as you do.
Well, you're speaking to my heart because, as you may or may not know, we published 750 authors talking about their personal stories. And I am such a proponent of personal stories. Why? Because people relate to your story. People want to do business with people. They don't want to do business with logos and websites. They like to hear the personal reason why you do what you do. So that lends me to ask you, Dennis, what's your story? Why do you do what you do? What was your ignite moment that started all of this supercharge for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking me. That's a really good question. I think that's a really deep question. To me personally, it's not about what success brings with, meaning lifestyle. I think is what provides to people near to me. So that is really important to me. My family is really important to me. My friends are really important to me, and close people to me that are really important to me. I think putting them before me has allowed me to be the person who I am today, to be able to um, go and walk towards those things, no matter what, no matter if it's 5 o'clock on a Friday evening where other people are out partying on a good weather, and you know what I mean. So this
You're
is
right here
exactly,
working and talking to us.
yeah, this is my motivation. This is really what makes me happy, if I'm honest.
Now, was there something in your life that was sort of that spark or that catalyst? Was there something that ignited this idea in you?
I guess it's the fact that I couldn't always think of myself working for somebody else. Not necessarily that it's wrong, but I I'm I'm a guy with visions. I'm a guy who's taking actions, and sometimes you get to work for people that they don't have the same visions as you. They don't want to do what you want to do, but at the same time, I understand that. So I guess I'm this type of person who likes to do stuff and pursuing bigger and bigger things to be able to have what he wants.
Mm. And I think many of us have that inside of us. In fact, all of us really, 90% of us, 100% of us have the feeling of evolving and expanding. In fact, the fifth actually Ignite Humanity principle is empower self to empower others so that they can empower themselves. And I think that's a really ingrained in us. We want to grow, we want to expand, we want to learn and evolve. And when we do it for ourselves, we give permission for others around us. And then
Mhm.
that allows them to empower themselves. And it really is giving people the opportunity to grow within themselves. And I do believe that many, many podcasts provide this situation. Share a little bit with our viewers who are thinking, I've never listened to a podcast, or I don't know what a podcast could do for me. Can you talk about the phenomenon of podcasts and how it is truly impacting humanity?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think podcasting has within the years has evolved dramatically. So previously we had podcasts that wasn't really popular maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So it wasn't really the thing. Nowadays, podcasting can benefit anybody who is either really interesting or start their own business, because you can find a podcast on how you can start your own business. So a podcast about startups, or maybe a podcast about relationships that can help you just understanding different opinions, and be able to expose yourself to different ideas and mindsets, because if you have access to other people and what they think about an xyz subject, which they might be more expert than you are, then you might find yourself that you're learning from them. So podcasting can be a place, whether you want to listen to it or watch one, to learn something that you're really passionate about yourself. Podcasting, in my personal experience, is something that represents you at some level. So we all have different things in life that we like to do. We may like to go and earn money. We may like to go and pursue a serious relationship, or we may like to talk about politics. We all have different things, but in my opinion, you can focus your energy towards the one that matters the most to you today, so you can learn the most out of this. So you don't waste your time learning different things, because information is out there and it's free in most cases. Just focus on the right thing.
Yeah, and podcasts are very niche orientated. So folks, if you want to know how to uh, you know race in the outback, you'll be able to find a podcast about that. If you're looking to, raise triplets, you'll find a podcast about that. Podcasts are so wonderful that way because they're very, very niche orientated in many ways towards what you're specifically interested in. And at the same time, they can be super effective. You can learn one single thing from a podcast, one single thing from a TV show, and that can set you on a brand new trajectory that can make a massive difference in your lives. And so listening to these kinds of things, I think, is really, really powerful. We love having you here every day at Ignite Humanity. So thanks for being great viewers and showing up. Dennis, let me ask you, there are some people who are like, okay, they're leaning into this idea, or they've had this idea for a while. Podcasting may be something that they want to do to connect with their community, connect with like-minded people. Is there some tools or strategies people can use to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. I think YouTube is the number one place everybody can go to and start searching for something, or even YouTube. There's tons of different information out there on how you can start your own podcast. In most cases, it's free. It really depends on the kind of set that you wanna set yourself to. I started my own podcast with just my phone, a light, and literally and microphone. That's it. And to this day, I still film some of my shows with my phone. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have all these extra studios, and it's nice to have. I'm not saying it's not, but it doesn't require you that much of work. And you'll be surprised how easy it can be, as long as you're determined to start and do it today.
Mm,
If you tell yourself, I'm gonna do it today at 5 p.m., I want you to do it at 5 p.m. no matter what.
mhm. And I want to say too, like, folks, you can exactly what Dennis said. Just start in with baby steps. You don't have to make it complicated. You surely don't have to do a live show like we do. It takes a lot of practice, expertise, and of course, confidence to be on a live show. You have to have a great support system. But and thanks to all the producers and people who help us with our show. But I do want to reiterate that, I started my first podcast, just using Zoom and just using a recording and just using, all the tools that are available that are free. And it's true, you really can get going. But let me ask you, how can they supercharge it?
Absolutely. So the way that you can supercharge your own podcast is by finding people who are doing this real time, who can coach you and take you from where you are today to where you want to be by literally tomorrow. So either coaches, masterminds, mentors, these are the things that are the people rather that I will be looking forward, so I can take my podcast or my business to the next level. So if you really, really want to find something like that, this is where I would be looking myself.
Well said. Well said. Let's go back a little bit to connecting. Why is it that people are so attracted to storytelling and want to listen in the car, listen in their headphones, listen when they're on the subway, sit down? My husband loves to listen to a podcast when he's making dinner. What is that attraction that people want from these stories?
I think this varies between a person to a person, but the way I see it is because when you watch or listen to a podcast, you tap to somebody else's life, even for 5 minutes. And that itself is so powerful because you can get to see or listen how these people they live their life. And even from the very small little story they can tell that you might or might not relate, you can find that you may like this person. You can find that you can learn more from this person. And storytelling, I think, is the key to connect people with other people.
Hmm. I so agree. There's something that goes on in the brain when we're telling stories. Endorphins are releasing, serotonin is happening. There's all kinds of chemicals that are going through the body and the brain. And when people tell you their story, you automatically feel more connected to them. You automatically find commonalities that make you feel this sort of synergy with them. And that's a really, really powerful thing. And so, I always encourage people to share their stories on podcasts and summits, on TV shows. What are some of the do's and don'ts? Now, some people can overshare, they can tell too much, they can. I'm never a proponent when people are swearing all the time. I have some do's and don'ts when I coach my authors and speakers. Or do you have some do's and don'ts for some of our listeners?
Are we talking like in general?
Yeah, like in general,
Yeah.
when people want to start a podcast, some people don't know some of the do's and don'ts around the industry.
I guess by the end of the day, you have to be yourself. You can either have a serious tone, a professional tone, you're podcasting, and say, "Hey, this is the type of environment that I want to create, the type of tone that I want my audience to tap in." It's up to you. It doesn't need to be that serious. You can crack a joke. You can have more fun ways to be with your guest. Maybe have a few little games just to make your guest feel like home. This is what I like to do. I don't like my guests to feel like it's work. I
Mhm.
want to make my guests to feel like they just out with a friend having a normal conversation that other people happen to listen or watch at the same time. But at the same time, you have to understand the guidelines from all those different social media platforms. So if somebody who gets a lot of views and is the type of show that's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of curse words, your videos might get down because it doesn't align with the guidelines of YouTube, for example. So you want to understand how these guidelines are behaved towards to what you do, and then adjust your own thing to it.
Really well said. Also, talk a little bit about music and copyright so some people know how to best use their podcast.
Yeah, when it comes to music, obviously you have to use something that is licensed. In my opinion, something like Epidemic Sounds is really good to use. It's not that expensive. You can either use something like YouTube Sounds, which is free, as long as you give credit to the writer or whoever singing the song. So there's tons of different ways that you can do that.
Yeah, and folks, you just have to know, like, I love this song. This girl is on fire. I have a company called Ignite. I love to use that song, but I will tell you, when we play that song with Alicia Keys in the front of our podcast, not allowed, not allowed. You cannot use someone else's song and information like that to in the front. You got to get your own music. Talk a little bit about branding. How do people brand themselves? What's important around branding their podcast?
Yeah, branding in podcasts is very important for a number of reasons. One, I think anything that you do online is your online portfolio. Anything that you do online is not just a place that you put up your Facebook post or your Instagram stories and so on and so on. The way I see it is like an online portfolio that with time you build credibility and you build authority. Now, who are you talking to? That's a different conversation. But branding is what you're establishing, and it's a long-term game. It doesn't happen overnight. You just have to show up every single time, no matter if it's once a week, twice a week, or how many times you want to publish in your own episodes.
Yeah, and I would agree with Dennis. Just start. I mean, you're not going to be perfect right out of the gate. If you look back at some of my podcasts from 5 or 6 years ago, you'll probably laugh. They look janky and unorganized, and I look silly. And you evolve over time. And if things happen and you make a mistake, that's okay. Just be willing to be a good student and grow with the process. Such a wonderful conversation. I really, really appreciate it. Dennis, what would you like to leave our guests with, knowing from anything that you would like to share about Supercharge, or just how podcasts can ignite humanity?
Yes. So the one thing that I want to leave with everybody is to put yourself out there, start doing something, take action. I think not taking action is what you do to yourself to stay in the same position. If you take action towards anything, you are changing your life towards something. And if you want to learn how to start your own podcast, learn how to everything that is to do with social media in 2024, I have personally put a school community together, which is entirely free. If anybody wants to join, they can do so if they want to learn. But it's also, there's so many other things that you can learn from online as long as you know what you're looking for. So I always tell people, make sure to ask the right questions. And how do I do that? I always ask myself, is this the right question to ask? What else do I not know? And who do I need to speak to?
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, folks, we put the link up below for you to check out what Dennis is up to. Tell us the name of the podcast again.
Yeah, so it's called Firstcast on YouTube and podcast and on all audio version of podcasts, Spotify, Apple, you name it.
All right. Well, I'm putting my hand up to be a guest.
Absolutely, anytime.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here. Many blessings to you. Great conversation and blessings.
Thank
Take
you for
care.
having me again. Take care.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
Folks, I agree with Dennis. Be willing to have a point of view, be willing to share, be willing to have a message and put it out there. Now, of course, and I want to reiterate, the most important thing that you can do is be authentic and share good, meaningful content. The world needs positive, uplifting, motivational, inspirational, beneficial content. So if you're thinking of doing a podcast, I really urge and challenge you to do something good. Speak in a way that will uplift people and give people hope, inspiration, and the ability to do something greater in their lives. That is the definition of igniting humanity. All right. Well, if you want to know more what we're doing to ignite humanity, check out our website. We are doing the largest compilation book ever, 280 guests. We've asked authors to come into our book and write their Ignite moment. We're also building schools. If you'd like to donate to our school project, we love building schools. Our next school project will be in Lombok, Indonesia. If you would like to contribute to that, please go to our website, ignitehumanity.life/donate. Your donations help all of our school projects, and we are so committed to making sure that we ignite literacy and inspire the lives of young children so that they can educate themselves to fulfill their dreams and desires. We are also doing a great event in Las Vegas in May. We'd love for you to join us. Please come and be an attendee at a 2-day event where we're igniting lives in so many ways, igniting businesses, igniting brands, igniting your breakthrough, and igniting your book. We'd love to see you there. Check it all out. All right, big blessings, everybody. Have a great weekend. It's Friday, so go do something fun and fabulous this weekend and ignite your life completely. All right, take care.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.